Okay, well, it's Saturday today. I'm going to do something that I've never done before, which is to review and watch my own videos. Okay. And I'm going to clarify this that I'm not going to make another video on this stupid, fat Pringles individual. I'm not going to do that again after today. Okay. This is the last straw. I'm only doing this because Mormons are barking. And I know that you guys love Mormon contents. So we're going to read some of his comments and we're going to watch a video he sent me. But here's how the story went down. I challenged this guy, LJ Sourman, and his 22 years old Mormon scholar, Noah Airhead, into a debate. I said, I will challenge both of you on my paradigm versus your paradigm. Because I think that's the only fair form of debate. My worldview versus yours. They ran for a month or two. Okay. Said they'll do it. They ran for they just ran. And then out of nowhere at 10 o'clock at night, LJ texted me and asked me to debate on iconoclasm. That his argument is that the church, the icon veneration was a post-apostolic invention. I immediately said that, well, okay, well, I don't grant that you have the right to claim apostolic. And here is how the conversation actually went down. I asked him, and he immediately went to being smirky. Oh, so you're running from the debate. And clearly, when they ran for what, 2, 3 months, I asked him, what apostolic are you? Because if we don't have the same authority, I'm not going to grant you the, or paradigm, I'm not going to grant you the ability to interpret my stuff, my church fathers. And I already know what he's quoting because he's going to quote everything about images from Gavin Ortland's stupid presentations. And he's saying all this bullshit. Peter, James, John ordained Joseph Smith. Well, that's not what Joseph Smith claimed. So, well, he claimed many things. That's just one of the things he claimed, which has not been justified. So I would like to debate him on that. And I was like, I'm not granting you that you are apostolic. Okay. So then I called. It's, by the way, it's a public forum call. So I called it, and initially I didn't record anything. Okay, I just said, okay, well, if this is the case, I don't agree with you. The premise, I'm not granting you the right that you can quote my church fathers. And he started to bark and say a bunch of dumb shit about the Orthodox, in which he trying to make himself look like a smartass. Then I started to record to see how stupid he is, to record and document his stupidity. And to prove that he's a coward because he's been crying by the way, in none of these videos I ever said I was debating. I never said I was debating him. I never said for once actually that his name. He is the one that tracked down my YouTube channel and came on my YouTube channel and said, "Oh, you recorded me." So now everybody know who the dumbass is. So that's thanks to you, by the way. And just for the record, if we look at this screenshot here, I actually agreed to have a discussion with him, not recorded. That never happened. Okay. So just to prove to you guys, I'm not out here. But you, by the way, you're in a one party consent state, which is the state of Utah. So I don't actually even need to. Even if I call you, I can still record that. Okay. That's I don't know why he's crying about that because obviously you're embarrassed. So what ended up happening from that point is I got him onto Jim Bob shows. Like, well, if you want to debate some topics, I can get you on this big Orthodox YouTuber show, and he can get you clout and popularity. And I do believe, from the evidence that I'm going to present to you, that he wants clout. He is there for clout, and we're going to get into that in a little bit. But here, when I post this video on Jim Bob shredding him, here's what he said. I never debated you, dude. I called you to try to set up a formal debate between you and my friend because you're such an outspoken critic, and you recorded it without telling me and started asking me random questions about metaphysics and epistemology, in which I was responding off the cuff. So yeah, right. You were responding off the cuff when you said there's not much philosophy in LDS. You said that in the video, okay, and posted it. If we if we so here's what he accused me, and then you posted it as if we had some sort of debate. So let's look at the video that I posted. Okay, let's go in here. Here's my channel. Oh, look at all this dumb shit. I believe is this one. Okay, I think it's there's one. Where do you see the word debate? Did I say it's a debate? I said it's a discussion. Okay. And I initially didn't even post the part where he was being stupid about orthodoxy. Then I had to do it because he started barking. And then I think he's somewhere. No, he's not in the chat here. I think it got filtered off. We put this maybe no. Okay. So, anyways, I didn't say it's a debate. You think it was a debate. Okay. And if your friend Noah Airhead, who's a scumbag, and what's funny is that he's the scholar. He wants to set up a debate, but he doesn't have the balls to tell me that himself because he knows he's going to get immediately schooled. And he had to tell somebody else to debate. That's not even good faith. Okay. He believes in, I said he believes Athanasius was a Mormon and they think all church fathers are Mormons. What are you even referring to? Am I okay? Well, you said Athanasius agrees with you. You said that. Okay. He ran from debate. What debate? Do you understand how formal debates work? Two parties agree to a topic, schedule it in a month in advance, and prepare for debate. Seeing his first step wasn't even reached, I couldn't have. No, I was referring to you ran from the debate from Jim Bob. Okay, if you guys watch this video or go to Jim Bob's video, he was trying to set up a formal debate with him in which he would even host you, and you ran from the debate. Yes, he just want clout. What if that's the case? I could have gladly jumped into an immediate informal debate with Jim Bob and made him look stupid. Oh, why don't you do that then? Why don't you do that? Hmm? Because you wouldn't even go to a formal debate. What makes people think you just said you wouldn't even do a formal debate with Jim Bob? What makes you think what makes people you think that people will believe that you're going to jump into an informal debate? As I'm not interested in getting views for sake of getting views, I'm not going to do that. Uh-huh. Him debating me on Mormon theology would be like Ren guy debating him on Orthodox theology, who doesn't know Maximus the Confessor and Gregory Palamas are. That would be no point in that debate. I offer to debate on a Trinity because I'm better versed in Christianity. Okay, so that's assuming that's a very prideful statement, but that's assuming certain aspects. So Jim Bob agreed. Why are you running? Anyone who doesn't know Blake Ostler doesn't know enough about Mormonism. You make that statement. I didn't. I'm requoting you. Okay, you make that statement in Jim Bob's chat that you don't know about Blake Oster, so you don't know Mormonism. And by the way, this kid is studying philosophy, obviously at Young University. We I do think we need to reach out to the Ed board to get BY to try to revoke BYU's privilege to teach philosophy because if this is what you get, naturally, if someone doesn't know the name of Mormonism's most rigorous theologian, they don't know enough Mormon theology to authoritatively discuss it, let alone debate it. So if you don't know, you haven't read every single letter or know Saint Paisios, so that would mean that you can't debate orthodoxy. So we have to know one guy to be able to debate Mormonism, but you can just quote mine, our fathers, and the same standard doesn't apply to you. This is how stupid you are. Yeah, my friend hasn't ever reached out to you because he was aware of your online conduct. I'd like to give people the benefit. Wait a minute. So he's not, you just contradicted yourself. Noah Airhead doesn't want to reach out to me because he's wary of my online conduct. So that's one, piety signaling. That proves he's a pussy. Two, that if he's not going to reach out to me, what do you, by word, you think me debating him in person is going to be better? Are you really this stupid? I mean, you two are cowards. You think that he doesn't want to deal with meaning me on text, but he's gonna be okay with letting me talk to him like he's a dumbass. Like I mentioned in one of the videos you posted of our discussion. Oh, now it's a discussion. I thought it was a debate. What is it? You read into everything I say and don't let me speak for myself. Well, we'll let you see because I've been asking you a question the whole video. We'll let you see if I'm reading into what you're saying or what. So let's watch this video together here. Okay. Let's see here. Because it's a fallacy to quote people that disagrees with you and you disagree with, especially when you're appealing to authority. It's a fallacy to quote people who disagree with you. Yeah, when you're appealing to when you are appealing to authority. We're not appealing to authority, though. Yes, you're appealing to the authorities of these writers against the position. So you are appealing to the authorities. Okay, here I think is where we're talking past each other a little bit. Yes, we are appealing to authority. Do you guys just hear that? Am I reading into what you're saying, or am I describing what you're doing, which is to appeal to an authority that does not even agree with you? We're appealing to your authority. You can appeal to my authority. Exactly. My authority doesn't agree with you, so you can't appeal to my authority. Do you? They don't understand. I mean, it seems to be a new trend that Mormons think that going to quote mine church fathers in the way that they're quote mining the Bible, the same strategy is going to work. Like reading into the Bible Mormonism is the same shit as reading into the church fathers Mormonism. That's their mindset. And this trend was really started by the likes of Robert Boylan and certain LDS idiot scholars and Robert Gurr, the likes of them. And it seems to me that Mormons don't understand that yes, evidence exists, but you can't just quote whatever evidence you think would support your case. For example, if I would scientifically prove that rabbits can become men, I can't be fucking quoting a cartoon with a rabbit becoming a man. But Mormons apparently thinks you can do that. And notice I've not went to his authority and said, well, I mean, I'm reading the Book of Mormon in the way I wanted to read, and it says he's a Trinitarian or a modalist. I'm not doing that. Although that's clearly what it's talking about, in my belief, I'm not doing that. But apparently you get to come over here and do the same thing to me. Am I the one that's not being generous? I don't know. No, because why, wait, why can you appeal to my authority? Why can I appeal to yours? Because we have the quotes from that. Yeah, well, I also have the Book of Mormon, which is filled with shit. So can I use that? Uh-huh. And then you interpret those quotes in your mind, right? Well, the idea of the debate would be you have to give some sort of a counter interpretation. I don't, why the fuck do I need to give a counter interpretation to my own interpretation? Like, do they not see how retarded they are? Oh, no, why would I do that? Because it is my position. Because if the collective voice of the early fathers is iconoclasm, and that's obvious in the historical record, and then later on at Second Nicaea, they say, wait, never mind. See, this is where I knew exactly why he's quoting. He's going to have the exact same quotes as Gavin Ortland. It's the Second Nicaea reference. Okay. We're going the other way. Yeah, so that's still not an issue because, again, the Arian example in the fourth century, then by your logic, the entire church is Arian. So a little bit of context here. This is not the beginning of the conversation. He's trying to say that consensus, errors in consensus would disprove the church. What I was demonstrating to him is that no, that's not the case. The church doesn't work off consensus. And I kept on this topic for the duration of this video, at least, because I'm demonstrating to you guys and her and him that he's got no clue how the church works. No, by my logic, the system breaks down. Yeah, so by your logic, my system breaks down, and then by my logic, your system breaks down. He doesn't see how stupid and arbitrary that is. What system breaks down? The system of preserving holy tradition. Then your church breaks down too. No, it doesn't, because that's not our system. What is your system? Well, that's a longer conversation, but exactly. So you're not going to defend your position, but you want to challenge my position. That's the whole premise of the debate, which why I didn't take it, because one, it's going to be a barrage of fucking quote mines, and then I'm just going to have to explain it away how Craig, how many Catholics also have I've just explained it. Okay, it's the same fucking thing. It's been debated over and over again. The same quote mine's been addressed over and over again. Okay, it's nothing new. That's why they won't actually challenge anyone. They think people like me and Alex are stupid, that we don't know what they're trying to do here. And this is why I'm telling you guys that this is a bad faith debate, because in a debate, you're supposed to challenge someone allowing your position to be examined, which is why I initially invited them, and I did it very cordially. I said, "Well, can we have a debate on your system versus mine? I think that's a fair one, in which you get to examine me, and I will get to examine you." However, they don't want to do that. And believe it or not, the LDS Church doesn't have a position on icons. So it is not even their position that they're using against mine. And by doing this, I can't actually challenge their worldview, so it's only them taking jabs at me, and I can't actually do anything back to them because that's not even their position. So why would you do so? It's a purely bad faith debate. That's why Noah, the little cunt, he wouldn't even actually come and propose it to me. And he legitimately think that having somebody else like avoiding me on text because I'm such a big fucking meanie is gonna do him good when he talks to me in person. This is how stupid they are. Well, you just said it's a longer conversation.
I said it's a longer conversation, and then you interrupted me.
Yeah, but again, my system is not built on consensus.
Well, it is though.
Okay, so you just said that orthodoxy is built on consensus. Can you please show me where it's built on consensus? Well, again, then why is the church not Arian by your argument?
Well, this is different though because
How is this different?
that's introduced later. Like we're talking about something that is taught from the beginning.
So notice here that he's got no clue what he's talking about. First of all, that's a fallacy. Doesn't matter if it's beginning or later. Our system says that the church is always apostolic. There's no such thing as post-apostolic. Okay, and he's going to quote fathers even after Nicaea 1. So those are Trinitarians, buddy. Okay, and then according to whose interpretation?
Well, it doesn't matter because we're like the idea.
Oh, interpretation doesn't matter, right? Of course. So I can go and interpret the Book of Mormon however I want. Interpretation doesn't matter?
No, the idea is that we go to your authority.
No, you can't go to my authority.
This is
No, wait. You don't go to my authority.
Any sort of sense though.
Because you can't. Well, so you going to my authority and quote mining doesn't make any sense. But I can't go to your authority and quote mine how retarded they are. Can't go to somebody else's authority that would condemn you.
Is there like a scholarly source you can cite for me on this?
And again, this is what they play. I mean, what does scholars have to do with shit? I can give you a ton of atheist scholars that disagree with both of us. Like, appealing to authority in this way is just, I mean, it's hardly imaginable that which dickhead professor is teaching him a philosophy? I have no clue. Do you not understand that you can't go to some authority that disagrees with you and that would condemn you and appeal to that authority as it agrees with you?
That's not how logic works.
Yeah, so how logic work is that if I'm trying to prove that in science that a rabbit can turn into a man, I use a fucking cartoon book. That's how logic works, right? So you think you can go to someone else's authority that disagrees with you and interpret their authority as agreeing with you?
We're not saying it agrees with us. We're
saying wait, if it doesn't agree, why are you using it?
Because it disagrees with you. This is your authority.
No, it's my authority. It does not agree with me. It does agree with me. Or else it wouldn't be my authority.
That's your burden is to.
That's not my burden. It's not my burden to say my position is this. It's your burden to prove that, well, I mean, either you can try to prove I'm wrong, but I'm not even granting to you that you have the right to do so until you can prove your position. You are the latter claim. You are the latter.
Our burden is to show that this is.
No, your burden is to prove your position because your position is to claim that we are corrupted.
Right, that's what we're doing.
And then you have to explain to me why do you have the right to claim that?
Again, what you're saying literally makes no sense.
Oh, so anybody can claim anything.
That has
How do you know? Wait a minute. How do you know? How do you know the church is corrupted? I'm interested. Tell me.
the idea is that orthodoxy stands or falls on the claim that they've preserved the original deposit of faith. The holy tradition has been passed down in an unbroken line, right, orally from Jesus to the apostles.
How do you challenge orally?
What do you mean?
If it's oral, then why are you challenging oral with text?
Well,
Oh my
because
God.
that's obviously we can't go talk to the pre-Nicene fathers.
Well, okay, but that's what. But our system.
But you're saying
No, wait a minute. Then that's not our system. Our system is that the oral traditions passes on to today.
And so just all texts are irrelevant then?
No, we believe in both.
No. Okay, well, exactly.
So here he's conflating oral traditions with teachings of individual fathers.
But there's still levels of authority. You appealing to a few saints that you believe taught against the Orthodox Church is not going to do you any good.
Well, it might not, but that's the whole point of the debate is to see.
Well, why would you wait? Why would you try to prove something that's not a problem for the other position?
Well, because in our view, it is a problem.
Oh, so your view is how the other position's view must be judged on. Okay, well, in our view, your view is retarded.
Well, your view is irrelevant to the other side's view.
Well, let's say there's an atheist who's either going to convert to the LDS Church or the Orthodox Church, and I come to.
By the way, no atheists are I mean, in the right mind, unless he's really stupid, convert to the Mormon church.
Concerning them. So, for example, I have a friend who's a patristic scholar who almost joined Eastern Orthodox Church, but then didn't over the issue of icon veneration. So, the whole point of you debating this would be for people.
Well, I don't actually need to debate that because if he's what patristic scholar is he? A secular patristic scholar? What does that have to do with what our churches teaches? I mean, again, trying to appeal to authority, that's just the stupidest thing ever. Why do we have to give a shit about what secular patristic scholars have to say? This is the dumbest shit ever. Do you care about what secular scholars have to say about your stupid religion?
Like that in the future, they can see this debate and go, okay, I'm fine.
Yeah, I don't need you to do this debate because you're in a retarded position. I'm not granting you and your 20 IQ clowns to have the clout of this. And there are way more better established positions, such as Gavin Ortland and many Protestants and Catholic Orthodox have debated this issue. Okay, I'm not giving you the opportunity to even have a jab at that.
Orthodox Church.
Right, and I'm already proving to you the position that you quoting a few saints that you believe is supporting your position against our position is not an issue. Even I'm even granting to you that these people are iconoclasts.
Uh-huh.
That's still not an issue. Do you understand that?
No, how would that?
Because our church is not built on 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 saints.
Right.
So do you understand that?
I do. But
so it's not an issue for us.
The problem would be if we have an ecumenical council tomorrow, which dogmatizes something contrary to every, like, I don't know, what's like one topic that hasn't been dogmatized?
Well, I mean, so what's the point? Hold on, my speaker broke. Give me a second. Say it again.
Yeah. My point is that if you have an ecumenical council come together and dogmatize and anathematize things that are literally opposite to what was previously taught, then that disproves the Orthodox system.
Okay, so prove it to me from the council then.
He's miscomparing councils with teachings of individual saints, which is not even the same thing.
What like
which council was iconoclast? Which ecumenical council?
The seventh.
Which Ecumenical council is iconoclast.
Oh, well, no, the idea though is that if the consensus patron later gets anathematized.
So after 7 minutes of explaining to him the church doesn't work on consensus, he's still saying consensus. And apparently he's going to say, "Oh, I'm reading into what he's saying." No, he spent fucking the entire video talking about consensus.
And that would break.
Which has not
Would it
happened.
not?
Which has not happened.
But it did though with iconoclasm.
No, it did not.
Why don't you?
Then it wasn't an ecumenical council.
So wait,
You understand that you understand that council is not immediately ecumenical,
well, whether or not that's
and it's and it's received through time. There are many councils that were false councils that were not ecumenical councils. So, but that still has nothing to do with your point regarding the early saints that you believe are iconoclasts and taught LDS doctrine.
Well, this isn't LDS. This is just scholarly consensus.
No, well, consensus is a fallacy. I can give you scholarly consensus of.
Well, sure, it's a fallacy.
Wait, I can also give you consensus of scholars that agree with us. That's why it's a fallacy.
You couldn't give a consensus against the consensus.
Yes, retard, you absolutely can because I can give you consensus, for example, regarding the Book of Mormon with secular scholars. Most of them will say it's retarded. And I can also give you consensus of scholars who are mainstream Christian scholars who would say your religion is retarded. However, if I go to the consensus within your own organization of your scholars, you would have a different opinion, right? This is why consensus and appealing to authority is a stupid fallacy. And he doesn't seem to understand this. That's because there's so many categories of authority you can appeal to and so many categories of consensus. There's no such thing as straight consensus. He doesn't seem to understand that.
Violate the rule of.
Well, yeah, your consensus is false.
Okay.
Do you see the error of your logic?
Do you see the error of your look? Let's say we take all the patristic scholars right now. 75% say
70% would condemn tritheism. Well, 100% would.
Was the unanimous voice of the early pre-Nicene fathers. You couldn't then claim that the consensus is
Yeah.
Pre-Nicene what? Pre-Nicaea 2? Nicaea 1? What are you talking about? Because many of Gavin Ortland's quotes are from after Nicaea 1.
But does the church work on consensus?
Well, no, that's not what I'm saying. I'm just
Then
saying.
why are you trying to prove consensus?
He's said it many times because the consensus patron, consensus. I'm not saying consensus. So he just keeps contradicting himself.
I'm not trying to prove consensus.
You just said consensus matters.
His entire argument is literally a consensus of the fathers are iconoclasts. And I'm not trying to prove consensus. This retard.
Does consensus matter in how the Orthodox Church function? The answer is no.
This isn't. You keep going to things that don't really.
Well, you just said consensus, right? You appeal to consensus. I'm telling you, that's not how the church works. Again, if that's how the church worked, it would have been area. My point is that you don't actually know what the opposite position operates on, and you're picking a point that's completely irrelevant.
Why
are you laughing?
Because you make no sense.
You don't even wait. I'm making no sense when you have no clue how the Orthodox Church work, and you think consensus is the key to debunk the Orthodox Church.
Well, not entirely, but more or less.
No, it's not.
Literally his argument is that orthodoxy stands and falls on consensus. Therefore, if I prove consensus, then your system collapses. That's what he said.
That's not how it works.
If the consensus of the fathers,
which is
he just talked about consensus again. A minute ago, he said, "No, I'm not trying to prove consensus."
No, well, even if I grant you that,
yeah,
that's not how the faith works. Do you understand that?
Okay, then how does what? Give me an example of a thing that
Oh, you don't know.
make this system.
No, hold on. So you
I
don't.
do orthodoxy all day. Like I'm very familiar with
Yeah,
it.
you read Orthodoxy all day, in which you read these fathers and think they're fucking Mormons. When your church claimed that the church actually fell away, by the way, this is the original claim, that after all the original apostles died. No, so all these people are heretics who you think are Mormons, and now they're changing their position. Oh, it's a gradual process, so we can slowly interpret all the early church fathers as Mormons. This is how retarded they are.
Wait. You just said you're familiar with how orthodoxy works.
Yes.
Then you just said, and then you appeal to consensus, which is not how orthodoxy works.
Why not? How does it work then?
Did you not hear the example I gave you about the Arians?
But I don't even know what you're talking about.
Oh, so okay. So do you guys see that? I read Orthodoxy all day. Do I know about all this shit? But consensus, and I have no idea what the Aryan Christ was.
Oh, exactly. So why are you debating? Why do you think you guys can debate this topic when you have no clue what the other side is talking about?
That has nothing to do with what I just said.
That has everything to do with what you just said. Because you're trying to debate a topic, you're trying to do a gotcha based on whatever evidence you gather that you believe will deflock the other position. And I'm telling you, that's not how the other position functions. And then you told me that you first told me you don't know. Now you're telling me that you know. So do you know or do you don't know?
I mean, you keep reading into everything I'm
Guys, am I reading, like, be honest, am I reading into the shit he's saying, or am I letting him explain himself? I said it, we don't work on consensus. How many times did he repeat consensus?
I didn't read anything. What did I read into? You because you said consensus,
No,
right?
no. You brought up Arianism, the Arian thing, and I said,
No, I didn't bring up Arianism. I gave you the example of the Arian crisis, you dumbass.
and then you take that to mean a specific thing.
No, that's not what happened. You appeal to consensus. And then I'm demonstrating to you consensus is not how the church works. Because if that's the case, then the entire church would have been Arian.
Are you saying the church was Arian from the beginning?
No, the church was not Arian in the beginning. The church would have turned Arian.
That's what I was saying, though, is that
That's a fallacy. That's a fallacy. That's a historicist fallacy.
What is?
Appealing to time frame. That has nothing to do with time frame. I'm demonstrating to you. It does has nothing to do with time frame. I'm demonstrating to you. You don't know how the church makes decisions.
Okay, well, give me an example of something that would make the Orthodox system collapse.
What?
I want you guys to remember what he just said. He want me to give him an example of how of what he can use to make the Orthodox system collapse.
So okay, so you don't actually know the topic and you want to debate. That's my point. That's why I wanted to talk to you two to make sure you know what the heck you're talking about. And apparently you don't.
No, but we're not trying to prove that the Orthodox system collapses.
Wait a minute. Didn't he a minute ago said, literally just said, can you tell me how to make your system collapse? And we're not trying to prove that you guys collapsed. And then he in the earlier parts of the debate said that, well, your whole system stand and collapse on this. Do you see how sneaky these and they're not even good at it. I mean, how sneaky these idiots are? This is why he's not good faith. This is why I am and I have been humiliating him. And he was humiliated on Jim Bob.
Yeah, you just said you wanted something to prove that the Orthodox system is.
Oh, keep listening.
You literally just asked me for a system that or something that to make that can prove the Orthodox system collapse. You just said you're not, and then now you said you don't make up your mind.
You keep reading into everything I'm saying. I asked you that because you're claiming
I'm not reading into stuff you're saying. You appeal to consensus. You appeal to it.
That has nothing. You don't even know what you're saying.
I don't know what I'm saying. When you appeal to consensus.
And that's what I mean by you're reading into what I'm saying.
Okay, then so explain.
It's been at least 10 times he said because consensus. And I'm still reading into the shit he's saying.
I'm going to let you explain to me, why are you going to consensus?
My understanding of how orthodoxy works is that orthodoxy is intended to perfectly preserve holy tradition, apostolic tradition, the deposit of faith, as they say in the West, um, and that obviously you have different levels of not as specifically as you do in Roman Catholicism, but you have different levels of dogma or how certain you can be in types of things, right? And so obviously if you have an ecumenical council saying something that carries far more weight, that's dogmatic, rather than if you just have a few like fathers saying things. Right. Obviously my claim isn't that one father saying something disproves the whole church. Right, because then you could just go to Gregory of Nyssa teaching universal.
Yeah, your point is that majority father taught against the Orthodox Church, right? I'm still manning your position correctly, right?
Yeah, so from my understanding,
So he literally just appealed to consensus.
it would pose a problem to the Orthodox.
And why would it pose a problem?
Because the idea of orthodoxy is to preserve the deposit of faith as it was originally handed down to the apostles.
Mm-hmm. And how do you know? How do you know those teachings that you so agree with are the teachings that we're supposed to preserve?
What teachings do I agree with?
You agree with you are iconoclast, right?
Well, that has nothing to do with the debate.
Yeah, exactly. So right there, this sneakiness. Well, that's not even our position, but we're gonna just use it to take a jab at you. And because it's not your position of iconoclasm, it's not, by the way. You can't actually take any jabs at us. So it's just us attacking you. You can't actually examine our position.
Well, do you agree with it?
Do I agree with iconoclasm?
And this is why these kids they will not actually ever formally debate anybody who knows a lot of stuff because they know that we're not going to agree to these stupid premises and we're going to absolutely say, well, if you're going to examine us, we're going to have to examine you, and they won't do any of that. Okay?
Yeah.
I don't personally have a stance on it.
And by the way, this is why almost every single Mormon I reach out to, they're like, "Oh, well, let's do a formal debate." So, for those of you who don't understand strategy, formal debate are usually people who are either very highly scholared or people like this and Muslims who don't want to be pressed on an issue. That way, they have time to no matter what you say, they're going to ignore everything you say and go back and reassert all the dumb shit they're saying. This is why he wants a formal debate.
So why are you debating a topic that you have no clue about?
I'm not. First of all, I'm not debating.
Okay, so you're not debating, but your point is completely fallacious because it makes no sense.
Why?
That's not because consensus is not how the church works.
Okay, well then that's why I asked you earlier.
That's what exactly. I don't need. So you don't know. You don't know what you're talking about.
Well, I hope I do because I've read a lot of books on orthodoxy.
Reading books on orthodoxy and reading LDS theology into it. That's how you know orthodoxy, right? That's how you know consensus, right?
Right. Well, I'd like for you to explain to me how it works.
It works.
Wait, didn't you just read a bunch of books about it?
By the decision of councils received through time. It's not that, oh, all these fathers said this, dang, we're doing that. That's not how councils work.
You're right, but then wouldn't you see the problem though with hypothetically if an ecumenical council gets called tomorrow
You're getting cut off.
and then they dogmatize something that goes contrary?
Yeah, the idea in our system is that cannot happen.
Right, and that's our claim though is that it did happen.
It did not.
So he thinks that the consensus is the same thing as an ecumenical council. This is how stupid he is, and he's read many books on this.
Happen because you're quoting councils that are not ecumenical.
We're not quoting councils. We're quoting.
Oh, so you're not even quoting councils. And why are you using councils as an example?
What?
You just appealed to councils being fallible. And you said you're not quoting councils.
No,
What?
we would quote Nicaea too.
No.
But there's no like earlier. We're not going to.
Okay, yeah, but so you have to quote counsel against counsel. You can't quote counsel against early church fathers.
Well, we wouldn't though, because by your admission, you said that it's impossible for a council to dogmatize something that was like contrary to what was previously taught. Right?
In the
Here we go. Get ready. Here's him dismantling Mormonism.
councils.
In the council, well, well, now your position is just unfalsified.
So not falsify. He's laughing at the fact that my position is not falsifiable. So if it's true, let me ask you this, shithead. If it's true, why would it be falsifiable?
It's just stupid.
Well, it is the position.
So
Your position
hold on. So being true and not falsifiable because it's true is a stupid position.
is unfalsifiable too.
No, it's not.
Yeah, really.
Oh, and so my position, which is true, is unfalsifiable because it's true. Your position, who you think is true by your own admission, is falsifiable. You just destroyed your whole position.
Yeah. Example something that would be obvious.
So you have a position that's okay. So that's not unfalsifiable because if that part is falsifiable, then we don't have a position. That's the whole point, is what we believe. So you have to challenge the position.
Well, then there would be no point in you ever debating anything if these are your presuppositions.
Because it's my organization. I don't need.
Well, I mean, I would debate. I would debate on my position versus yours, but you're not going to do that.
To justify to you someone who's outside of the church.
But you would though, because well, I mean, I guess you would. I can't tell you what you should do, right? But it seems to me a good idea for.
I mean, no, it's what the church teaches, but I'm not obligated to defend it against heretics like you guys.
So what? Yeah, my point is, why would I ever allow idiots like you to quote my church fathers? And why would I ever even allow you the position to make that claim, which is what I'm demonstrating to him, just to clarify.
I mean, do you understand my point of talking to you tonight? Is that you don't actually understand how the church works. You guys got a bunch of quote minds from. I know. By the way, I'm telling you, I know all his quote minds. I know all the quote minds. It's been used by Matt Slick. It's been used by a bunch of people. It's not new. It's nothing new, dude. I know all the quote minds.
I mean, by the way, this whole thing is even premised on the fact that I grant him consensus. By the way, none of the pre-Nicene fathers are iconoclast. He's quote, and if you go to all their churches, there are icons in there, right? And the parts where they were talking about images, it's talking about pagans.
Because it's pointless. Because we're just gonna talk past each other, like we're already doing when we haven't even had the premise set. You're gonna interpret those quotes in a certain way and apply it to the church in a way that you think would falsify our position, but in reality, that's not how our position works. And I'm gonna defend this position like I'm wasting my time. That's exactly what's already happening when we're setting the premise. I don't want to hop on a debate with you where we just talk past each other.
But you're like I said though, you're reading so much into everything.
So am I though? Seriously, we've been listening to this shit for the past like 30 minutes. Have I read anything into the shit you've been saying? Or did I allow you to explain why you think consensus, which you've been repeating for like 15, 20 times, which is it? Am I reading, guys, am I reading into the shit he's saying or am I allowing him to explain himself?
I'm not. Let me steelman your position. Let me know your position. Can I steelman your position?
Sure.
Okay, your position is that you and Noah, through your quote mining, found a bunch of church fathers.
You're using ad hominem in your.
How is that ad hominem?
You just said quote mining.
How's quote mining not? I mean, I quote mine too. So how's that a ad hominem?
Well, it just usually is a pejorative term.
Oh, so it's your feelings.
It's not feelings. Like I said, it's usually a pejorative term.
No.
It's a connotation.
Okay, so let me be nice to you. Let me be nice to you. Okay, I'm not gonna use that. I'm gonna be nice to you. So because I want you to engage me. You and your friend Noah, through your quoting of church fathers, believe that you found a lot of church father quotes against icons, and you believe that will falsify the Orthodox position. Yes or no?
Um, Perhaps that's not the point. The point of the debate isn't to disprove orthodoxy.
Wait a minute. Didn't he a few minutes ago said that how can I disprove orthodoxy?
Or else that would just be the premise of the debate. The premise of the debate is to disprove the idea that Second Nicaea is dogmatizing something that was always taught from the beginning of the church. And so whether or not that disproves orthodoxy has nothing to do with the debate.
Well, that's not what you wrote in your, first of all, that's not what you wrote in your thing that you wrote to me.
Where?
You did not, you did not, well, you didn't say anything about Second Nicaea. You said about your debate, literally just said,
Well, yeah, it says the topic is icon veneration is a post-apostolic development.
yeah, you didn't, first of all, you didn't mention Second Nicaea. Two, the point is that, the point is that your argument, let me steelman you again, is that your argument is that Second Nicaea dogmatized something that's not always taught. Is that fair?
Kind of. That
Okay.
it's not only does it dogmatize something that's not always taught, it dogmatizes something that the earliest fathers would have been like hypothetically, if the earliest fathers were alive during that time of the Seventh Ecumenical Council, they would have been condemned as heretics.
Okay, according to your interpretation of what those fathers said.
Well, if you just like appeal to you're according to your interpretation, then there would be no point in debating anything.
Isn't that your entire cult? Your interpretation, my interpretation. It's my interpretation of the Bible. Isn't that your entire cult?
Exactly. I mean, that's my point. It's your interpretation versus mine when you're quoting
Well,
my.
right. Well, then you just put yourself in a stupid position where you can never debate anything.
That's what. No.
Isn't that your entire cult though? You actually in your scripture it says don't be contempt, and your mission, guys, tells people in your faith to not debate. That's you. That's not me. I challenge you to a debate on my position versus yours. You don't want to do that. You want to take jabs, and I'm humiliating you because you're doing that.
I'm not putting myself in the position. I'm here setting that premise with you, so we don't talk past each other if this debate happens. That's why,
Yeah.
or else I wouldn't talk to you. There's no point of talking to you.
Right.
So, again, your position is that Second Nicaea dogmatized something that was not majority taught in, let's say, the first century. So, therefore, we had a false ecumenical council, and orthodoxy is false.
Well, those are implicit, but those aren't ever going to be state. I don't. Well, actually, I'm not the one going to be debating, right? But I don't think he's ever going to state orthodoxy is falsified if I win the debate.
Well, it is falsified if we had a faulty council.
But do you guys see the scumbaggery in the language? So I'm going to end this here because that's pretty much it. And then the next part is the discussion about metaphysics and epistemology, which you guys can look at. But you guys see, like, I'm because he's got a bunch of bots that's like brand new accounts saying, "Oh, I'm contradicting him." So can you please point out those of you who think that I'm contradicting, please point out where I'm contradicting because there's at least like 15 plus times that he contradict himself regarding consensus. It's yes consensus and then no consensus. So is it consensus or not consensus? Maybe a little bit, but consensus. Yeah, I understand, but consensus. So well, I don't want to prove orthodoxy false, but can you tell me how to do that? And my whole argument is that if I do this, your position falls. So, um, totally, I mean, we can tell this is sneaky bad faith. And again, you and Noah Earhead, anytime you want to debate your position versus mine, let's do that. Okay. And we kind of already did. You know how that went. Didn't go well for you. That's why you will not debate on any of these issues because you know that your prophet is a total fraud. And that's not even hard to prove. Okay. But you're not going to do that. Yeah, I mean, I think Alex also exposed Noah's. So that kid, Noah Airhead, the 22 years old Mormon scholar, had a conversation with my friend Alex, who's been on the channel. And we're going to eventually review that, in which the opposite side exposed his own idiocy. But anyways, tomorrow's Pentecost. Okay, I hope we got the energy to last through that long service tomorrow. And God bless. I will see you guys. I got a few. Actually, I got to announce this. I got a few videos coming out. One, I had a great conversation with one of my Mormon friends. He served the mission in Ukraine. We're going to talk about some of the geopolitical stuff happening over there. But again, just to show that I don't hate any person because of their religion, unless obviously with Muslims who act out in their religion in a very disgusting way. And I do think, I mean, Muslims would be an exception because their entire religion is technically uh, is terrorism. There's no such thing as a Muslim who is not a terrorist. There is only a Muslim who doesn't know Islam well enough. Okay. But again, I don't hate anybody based on what they believe. And I'm gonna have very soon. I'm having my Roman Catholic friend come on here, and we're gonna talk about some stuff. Anyways, God bless. Have a good day.